Sharad Kohli, a situation such as this, again, I'm talking about, it took 4 prime ministers in the 4 years in the United Kingdom government to come up with this deal and finally conclude it. Now that it has been concluded, particularly, how important does it become from the United Kingdom's perspective? Because, the trade surplus is with India. And what United Kingdom at this point of time is hoping is that there is some balance that is created in a balance of trade between India and United Kingdom. And mostly when we take a look at these lists where India has reduced the tariffs significantly, from 100% to 10% when it comes to the auto industry, liquor. These are significant, drastic reductions that India has made. How is this going to impact India per se?
Good evening, Megha. Good evening to my fellow panelists and NewsX viewers. If you understand the backdrop of this whole negotiation and signing of the deal, we all know the deal was more or less finalized on 6th of May. Prime Minister's visit is going to formally put a stamp on it, and the deal has already been formalized. Now, for the people who are curious to know that why is India slashing duties, why is why are stuff being imported into India at zero duty or near zero duty, as 99% of the goods are going to be almost be duty free for that matter. They have to understand that the two countries have a very long relationship apart from the colonial era. I think we've come a long way. This is the very country whom we overtook to become the 5th largest. We should not forget, UK is about $3.8 trillion. We are now ahead of Japan as well. We are now $4.2 trillion. So we are far ahead of, you've left behind UK. So from the time you mentioned about 4 prime ministers, when the deal first started to get into negotiation stage, we should not forget that we were behind UK in terms of the size of the economy. And we have galloped. We have moved forward and we are now far ahead of UK. So at this point of time, Megha, if you ask me, UK needs this deal more than India. Well, earlier the situation was other way around. India needed this deal more than UK. I think the tables have turned because of a flux of time that we've seen over the period. And today UK needs it more eagerly. And this also, Megha, we should not forget, comes in the backdrop of what is happening in the US. The constant tariff threats which are coming from there. And we should also not forget that UK has already signed a deal with US. So that is another change which has happened from earlier. So I think the whole backdrop has changed from the time the negotiations started first. If you look at the products from India, I think it's a very interesting composition of products. We're looking at textiles, garment and leather goods. That's the first category. We are looking at gems and jewelry. That's the second major category. I'm only talking about the major. We are looking at engineering goods. That's the third major category. And then comes the chemicals. So these are the 4 broad categories which India has been exporting. So I think today, if you look at the demand in UK, they need this stuff more than before. And we should also not forget, Megha, that their economy is barely growing. The latest GDP growth rate in UK is 1.3%. And we are growing at 6.5%, 7%. So there's a big difference between the growth rate of two countries. So in such a situation, it becomes difficult for a country to set up manufacturing units themselves and start producing the goods within the country. And with this deal happening, if it is zero duty on most of the goods, they are going to get it cheaper, which they badly need at this point of time. So that is the first thing we need to understand. Of course, in terms of imports, we are importing beverages, we are importing some electrical machinery from them. We do need that as well. But then I think the US aspect, Megha, we have to keep in mind, because UK has already signed a deal with US. It was amongst the first nations to have signed that deal. So I think the backdrop needs to be understood as to in what situation this whole negotiation is happening, Megha.